and we are indeed fortunate today that the address will be delivered by Ms. Jo Kukathas. Jo Kukathas is an actor, writer and director from the Instant Cafe Theatre Company in Malaysia. She's best known for her politically resonant work and satirical comedies that reflect Malaysia's diverse ethnic, religious and cultural composition. She directs the classics as well as contemporary plays. Her production, A Midsummer Night's Dream, a collaboration of an Indian classical dance company, took the audience on a dream of a Hindu past lost in the forests of time and modernity. Her international work includes a collaboration with the Setagaya Public Theatre, Tokyo, co-writing and directing the multilingual play The Island in Between, featuring actors and designers from Malaysia and Japan. As a writer-director, she's toured her own play, Silence, Please, Breaking, into Tokyo and Singapore, and the play Para into 2 Australian festivals. In November, Nadara will be going to Festival Tokyo, and her play Raj and the End of Comedy has been invited to the Esplanade in Singapore. I have much pleasure in inviting Ms. Jo Kukathas to deliver the graduation address. Please join me in welcoming Jo to deliver the address.
Mr. Deputy Chancellor of Monash University, Mr. Yudi Bleicher, Madam President and Pro Vice Chancellor of Monash University, Malaysia, Professor Helen Bartlett, students, guests. Dear students, today is a momentous day. It's a momentous day for you. It's a momentous day for this country. It is a day when your private history collided with the history of this country, and through this private convocation into the public sphere. What does this mean? What will it mean to you? How will you ultimately remember November 19th, 2016? I will remember today as the day that I went to Bursay in the morning. And then was lucky enough to be able to catch a grab car over here to attend your Monash convocation in the afternoon. And I will be attending the wedding of my cousin tonight. I'm sure my young cousin's wedding will be delayed. There are 82 roads closed in the Klang Valley alone today. So he will remember always his wedding day. His wife will be very happy. Most men do not remember their wedding anniversaries. So 2016 has not been a very good year for many of us. David Bowie died. Syria has been shelled into near oblivion. Donald Trump, quite unaccountably, has been elected president. So how will you remember 2016? What did you want of 2016? Did you get it? Why not? I graduated from university in 1984 with a degree in politics and philosophy. I subsequently went into theatre. I didn't know at the time what I was going to do. I had lived outside of Malaysia since I was 7 years old. My father, K. Das, was a Malaysian diplomat working as information attaché in Hong Kong, Australia. Later, he grew disillusioned with Malaysian politics. He left, and he became a journalist. During the Mahathir era, he wrote openly and often about government wrongdoing. He really hated being lied to, and he hated being kept in the dark by those in power. My father constantly reminded me that in a democracy, the government was the servant of the people, and not the other way round. He reminded me often. He reminded other people often, because he felt often we forgot, and often those in power forgot. But often he constantly reminded me of this, because often those in power steal our candles and leave us in the dark. We have to catch them, he said. Make sure they give back our candles. So from my father, I learned to question those in authority and to be unafraid of the candle stealers in our lives. And I'm very grateful for that lesson. But candle thieves aren't always easy people to deal with. The magazine that my father wrote for, the Far Eastern Economic Review, was often heavily censored and more often banned. This was the age before the internet, if you can imagine such a thing. So keeping people ignorant was relatively easy. Most of you here have never known a world without the internet. Today we are connected to more information than my father and his generation could have dreamt of. Yet the candle thieves have grown bolder. They have grown stronger. And sometimes it's exhausting. It feels hopeless, and it's quite terrifying. So we choose to be distracted by data rather than be informed by it. If what is happening outside your own private world is too terrifying, you can just block it. You can read about it, then you can delete it and scroll past. I grew up as a teenager and in my 20s with a special branch car parked outside my father's front door. The special branch of the security services of Malaysian government. And the car was always parked outside my father's front gate. So fear was always outside the front gate. You couldn't scroll past that car. You could stroll past it, but you wouldn't get far. My father would often joke about it. One Christmas, he went out to the car and invited the officer in for a beer. The special branch officer said, "No, thank you." It was very kind of my father, but he shouldn't. But he was tempted. He had come to know my father by sitting outside our house for many, many years. By this time, they had come to understand each other. My father was a former diplomat for the Malaysian government turned dissident journalist, and he knew my father was just doing his job, reporting the wrongdoings of the government. The special branch officer knew that he was doing his job to watch my father. This is government. We have to engage with it whether we like it or not, because, like it or not, it will turn up outside your front gate one day. You cannot delete it. You cannot scroll past. One day, your personal history and the history of your country, whichever country you come from, will collide. But you can, as citizens of the world, and as global citizens, you can decide on what that collision looks like. In 1987, a few years after I graduated, the government arrested over 100 people under an operation called Operation Lalang. I came home from work to find my housemate's girlfriend hysterical and in tears. My housemate, Julian JSC, you're about to embark on a future, something unknown. So the speaker will tell you, don't be afraid. You're told, do not be afraid. Yes, you face an uncertain future, but do not be afraid. Today, to all of you, I say, please, be afraid. The night is dark and full of terrors. The world post-Trump, post-Brexit, a future people weren't even sure that they wanted, post-fascism, post-Duarte, post-Najib, post-2.6 billion is a world which should terrify you. After Operation Lalang, my friends and I were very afraid. The Star newspaper and another newspaper now defunct, The Echo, were shut down. There was a real climate of fear. We didn't know what to do, but we knew we had to do something. with this fear. So we formed a theatre company. We were artists, and we decided to do comedy. We decided to do political comedy because we decided we needed to laugh at those in authority. We needed to laugh at politicians. We needed to laugh at ourselves, and we needed to laugh at our fear as a way to control our fear. So we laughed at our fear. Everyone told us, your company will be closed down in 2 months. Malaysians don't have a sense of humor. Is that true? I think not. But we were not shut down after 2 months, and we stayed on stubbornly. We believed that we played a necessary role in our society. We felt that Malaysians wanted us around. We felt Malaysians needed us around. They needed to laugh. And we have stayed around. This December, we turned 27 years old. A few days ago, I was in Tokyo, where I had been invited, along with my company, to perform a play at the Festival Tokyo. This play was called Nadira, and the play was about religious friction in Malaysia and Singapore. This play was performed in Malaysia 4 years ago to packed houses. Many people came to watch a play about ourselves, about our challenges. In the past, people would have told me, you cannot do a play about religious and racial friction in Malaysia. But we can, if we choose to. We can choose to confront our fear, make art about it, talk about it, have dissent, express ourselves. And other people in the world will want to know our stories too. They want to know our stories about who we really are, not who we pretend to be on the surface. This religious and racial friction in Malaysia, I feel, is getting worse. We can all feel it. There is a darkness approaching, and it terrifies me. It's sitting outside my gate, and it refuses to speak to me. It won't even consider coming in for a drink. So I want to ask all of you, what are you going to be in this terrifying new world? What are you going to do with the lessons of 2016? What are you going to do with this real world that has suddenly collided with your world, your personal, private world? I don't know. But I want to say this. Don't ignore this world. It isn't going to go away. The world is changing. We find ourselves becoming increasingly right-wing. We are giving ourselves over to right-wing demagogues, greedy politicians, climate change deniers, because we don't want to be afraid. We think we don't want to be afraid, so let's give our power away. We think those in authority, they know better. And because we don't want to be afraid, we give our lives to those who tell us, I will keep you safe. I will protect you from the night terrors. Don't believe these people. They are the ones who stole your candles in the first place. Instead, I ask all of you to be afraid. Be very afraid. And do something yourselves about the darkness. Because you can. You can be your own light. Don't wait for someone else to save the world. Please, save it yourself. Thank you.